What is going on, guys? Theo here, back with another Marvel Strike Force video. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic and having a fantastic day, whatever is going on. Hopefully it's going okay. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on Dark Dimension 6 and how I'm kind of planning and looking at the characters that are available for Dark Dimension 6 right now, because I haven't entered Dark Dimension 6 yet, let alone beaten the big version of the Apocalypse yet. So I'm going to be going through all of the characters on the Dark Dimension Planner on the MarvelStrikeForce.com, the website. I'm going to be going through all the characters, seeing what I can look through and seeing, the gear that's required and all the other things that are going to be needed and how I can look at what's going to be safe right now. But if you do enjoy this video and you're looking forward to entering Dark Dimension sometime soon, stick around. We're going to be talking about that right here. Let's get into the intro, guys. Alrighty, welcome back to another Marvel Strike Force video, guys. Hopefully you're all doing fantastic. So I do have the Dark Dimension Planner pulled up here on the Marvel Strike Force website. I'm going to be going over the characters that I have chosen that are somewhat safe to build right now for Dark Dimension, or at least on my radar from what I've seen from other people, and what's going to be safe going forward in the meta, and how I can really plan out my roster for Dark Dimension 6. That way, I'm going to get more value out of them in the future. So starting off with Global, the Global section has a lot of good characters in it, like Captain America. Captain America Sam's really good too. He's got the taunt, he's got the ability energy, feeding ability energy to other characters, and he's really good, but I don't think he's safe enough to build right now. The only characters that I've chosen that are safe to build for Global at the moment, for me at least, based off of just looking at all the characters in the roster and what's going to be safe going forward and what's going to be useful, that's definitely going to be Apocalypse. He's definitely going to be number one, and he's most important probably in the entire game right now to take to Dark Dimension. For the Apocalypse section, for Global, non-legendary horseman, for the Global section, you're going to want Apocalypse. You're going to want him for the legendary or Apocalypse section. You don't need him, of course, especially if you don't have a big boy Apocalypse. If you're trying to avoid him and maybe just skipping him altogether, going for Dark Dimension 6, that is a possibility, but it will be a little bit more challenging if you don't have him for sure, especially if you get his awakened abilities where he can kind of just, destroy the whole field with his basic and just keep spamming his little cannon like boop, bop, boom, 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 just knocking people over left and right. It's very, very good. I definitely recommend people build him for Global. You're not going to regret it. 100%. He's very good. I'm also looking at Quicksilver and Spider-Weaver as well. Quicksilver, he could be a little bit challenging to take forward. He is a Mystic character. There's a lot of Mystic characters. We all know how hard Mystic can be to build around because there's so many good ones. But Quicksilver, in my opinion, especially if you have him at 4 red or 5 red, is very, very good. He does a lot of damage. He can summon Scarlet Witch in the nodes as well, which is very nice. It's basically just an extra character that you get per node every time you use him, is when he goes below half health. That's very good. You're basically just getting another character, which is always useful. Also, Spider-Weaver, of course. I'm pretty sure they said somewhere that they're going to be making all of the Marvel Strike Force exclusive characters always viable. They're going to keep reworking them, giving them buffs if they fall out of the meta. I don't know how true that's going to be for Spider-Weaver. They kind of made a pretty broken character in Spider-Weaver. They kind of had to do a lot of meta building around her. So in my opinion, she might be the last one to get buffed, even if she gets brought out of the meta, but right now she's still very good. I actually have her at Diamond 1. She's my only character in the game that has a Diamond star on it, and for good reason. She is very good. I have faith in her being useful for a long time in the future because, again, I believe that they're going to be, reworking their Marvel Strike Force exclusive characters till the game ends, until it dies. But if I look through the other Global section, I'm just going to take off my camera here so you guys can see, there's not really much choice right now, at least, that's going to be really future-proof or safe to build. You could take the raid teams to Dark Dimension 6, but in my opinion, I feel like building raid teams for Dark Dimension is very, very risky. A lot of people have been taking, these guys, Darkhawk, or I don't know, I think Rescue. I've heard Rescue's very good in these nodes as well. Again, you can choose what you want to. They are a good team even outside of the raids. You just got to worry about bringing raid characters, because that can be something that you'll regret. I took all the web warriors to Dark Dimension 5 when year tier 16, but it just wasn't worth it. It was too difficult to do, and they they didn't really help me that much, and it was a waste of gear at this time because they don't get used. Other good characters like Gambit's pretty good right now, but you know, again, you don't know how long they're going to be useful for. You know, Gambit, their team's already kind of getting pushed out of the meta as we speak. From what I can see from all the characters, the only ones that I would actually consider bring that's like not future proof would be Zombie Iron Man or Zombie Juggernaut. Zombie Juggernaut's actually really strong. It's just that if you know, you probably only have him at a high stars if you really spent some money on him, or if you really invested hard or went hard in his event. Maybe you got a 4-star. It's hard to do it without Hela, but you know, they are really good and they've been good for a long time, and they just keep releasing new zombie characters, so who knows how long they're going to be good for. Like, you could make a whole tier list about every character in the game right now for Dark Dimension, but in my opinion, it's really looking at the ones that are going to be viable in the future right now, at least, that are going to be really good for a long time. So let's move on right to Cosmic. We have Kang the Conqueror. So I still think Kang is really strong even when coming back to the game. I know it's going to be hard for you guys to take advice from me for Dark Dimension 6, considering I've never entered it yet, but I'm taking it based off of what I've seen from other people's videos and from research myself, seeing what's been working well and what's kind of not been working well, and what's really going to benefit my roster later on in the future. And I think that all the characters I've chosen here are good choices for the Cosmic section, especially since these three here are, again, Marvel Strike Force exclusive characters. Kestrel right now, part of the new Pegasus team. They keep reworking her into new raid teams and to new teams in general. She's just fantastic all around. Highly recommend her as a Cosmic choice. And she has 2 pieces of gear, tech and bio, I think. Sorry, skill and tech. I haven't played in a while, so my apologies. But yeah, she is very good. And then Vol, I just unlocked Vol. I've been leveling her up. I have her about tier 14 now. I am going to be taking her to Dark Dimension for sure. I know she's another raid character, and believe me, I know I've been saying, you know, raid characters are a bit rough, but she does have Dark Dimension tags in her kit. So from what I've seen, and she can revive 2 characters as well. Like, I've been doing a lot of, like, I've been looking at her kit the whole time, making sure, looking at videos, seeing how she performs in Dark Dimension. And from what I can see, she's very, very, very strong and can revive 2 characters at any time with her ultimate, which is really good. That's something that I don't really want to ignore, and that's something I want to take into Dark Dimension with me, especially since, and you could take her into the first couple nodes too, like when you first enter. So that would be like probably one of my first choices would be Vol, just to have that automatic revive whenever you want. Maybe you get an extra bit of damage on the node, who knows. But you know, Deathpool as well also, you know, feeds energy, can do the one shot if she gets 5 charges, which is nice. And again, part of the new Warriors, which is a pretty good Cosmic Crucible team. Not fantastic, I think they just came out by the time I left the game, but they are still a good team. Cosmic, for having the 3, you know, the 3 Marvel Strike Force exclusive characters, I don't believe that these are bad choices at all. You can't go wrong. I don't know if this is a good synergy team right now. We have 2 Mystic characters in here, so it's kind of rough on Mystic gear because it's 2 for global and 2 for Cosmic, but I'm just looking off of base what is safe to build in my roster right now that's going to give me value in the future. I understand that it might take me longer and it will probably take me a long time to farm all the Mystic gear, but I don't. Like, if I look at the Cosmic section, right, there's other characters here that are great, but if you look, again, Dormammu, which is probably the only other one that I'd recommend for Cosmic, is a Mystic character. And you know, Beta Ray Bill, another part of a raid team, Mystic again. Icarus, Mystic. Cersei, Mystic. You know, it's all Mystic. It's going to be hard to build no matter what you choose. You could do Gamora and Nebula if you really wanted to. I mean, they're really good still. They've been holding up in the meta for longer than we thought, just because they spawn with safeguards, so it's pretty ridiculous how long they've lasted. I still wouldn't choose them. I still think that that would be a waste of gear unless you have like super high diamonds on them and Gamora just absolutely shreds every character on the field. Then sure, do whatever you want. I wouldn't take any of the Apocalypse characters. I wouldn't take any of the raid characters. So Beta Ray Bill, Doctor Strange, and Photon would be the only 2 other choices that might not hurt you right now, because they are an arena team, and arena teams tend to last a bit longer than the typical teams in this game. But I would still say that only these 4 right now are the choices that I would choose. I wouldn't even consider a 5th right now until they come out with new characters. That's why I'm not going to be rushing into it, right? Again, have large goals, but have smaller goals in the background. That way, when you want to accomplish your large goals, you know, you'll be ready. You'll be doing other stuff in the background, not wasting time. Just, you could be hoarding, but I don't really like to hoard. I don't like to have fun that way. I don't like to hoard. I don't like to play that game. I like to enjoy the game while I'm playing it and build characters. But again, I still like to invest in the proper stuff so that way I'll have the right gear to enter the harder activities later on. So for City, this is where I would say are the only options right now that you could have a full team of 5 and get away with it perfectly fine and not really waste gear. The 2 arena meta characters right now, Miss Marvel, Hard Light, sorry, I don't even have her unlocked, so I don't know what her name is, and then Ghost Rider Robbie. Again, 2 arena characters that'll definitely benefit you in your arena right now. For the long run, I'm not too sure how viable they're going to be, but Darkhold's still pretty good right now, and they were in arena meta at one point for a very short time, let me remind you, because all the Horsemen were coming out, so it was basically just replacing Darkhold very slowly with all the arena characters. But I don't think this is going to be a bad team at all. Like, let's look at Infinity Watch or Darkhold. They were arena meta at one point, and now they're still really good teams. So I would say that these two, saying not safe would be hard to say, because they are an arena team and they're meta right now, so they would definitely be really good. And I've heard Ghost Rider Robbie is fantastic as well. And then another choice you could do right now, based off of what I've seen by how strong they are now, Sinister Six are probably the best choices right now to be taking into City. However, I'm gonna stop right there, because hold the phone, guys. I have some news. I have an alert. I believe that I've heard that symbiotes may be getting a rework. So if that is the case, because they're releasing a new symbiote, we don't know if all the other symbiotes are going to be getting a rework, so I'm just, theorizing here. If they do, because they are releasing a new symbiote, that City might be taken over again by at least Symbiote Spider-Man and probably Anti-Venom. I think those are the 2 that they're going to keep on the team. Symbiote Spider-Man, of course, he's like a fan favorite, right? Like, he was the best character in Marvel Strike Force at one point, probably one of the favorites of the game. I remember when symbiotes were coming out, it was super hype around the game. If they do decide to rework some symbiotes, I would hold off on building Sinister Six to Dark Dimension 6 at the moment. However good they might be, I know Vulture's really good, so maybe Vulture would still be an excellent choice. I would just hold off for now if you haven't built a City. We don't know if the Symbiote Surfer, I think, is coming out. Spoiler alert, by the way, sorry about that. Symbiote Surfer, it may bring a little bit more to the game if there are City characters and they have more symbiotes to work with, and that might be a viable option. All right, City, other City choices. Sorry, I could say Shang-Chi or Squirrel Girl. Shang-Chi is still okay. He's still one of my favorite characters in the game. I had him at 7 red for such a long time, and he would just kick his way to victory. I don't know if he would be a good choice now, though, unfortunately, just because he's been power crept a little bit. He's been staying in the meta far longer than anyone thought he would, but at this point, I do believe that his time is coming to a close. He's closing his chapter in the book. Gotta get to the next team, right? But yeah, other than that, I think these are the only safe City characters at the moment, but I would still wait a little bit before taking these 3. Maybe Vulture, but the other 2 here, I would wait a little bit just to see if symbiotes do get that rework. Now, going to legendary section, again, the only 2 characters that I would recommend besides Black Cat, because if Black Cat is part of that arena team, you could take the full arena team to Dark Dimension. You won't be wasting that much resources, considering that they're the best team in the game right now for the arena. It would definitely benefit you to have them built up a little bit extra, just to have that oomph. The only other legendaries I would say are safe right now is Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus. Now, if I look at the other ones, all the other legendaries at the moment, at least in my opinion, don't really stand up. Maybe Nova. So Nova is a good choice, right? Nova's fantastic in the legendary section, I've heard, but you're not going to be getting use out of him anywhere else. He'd be a standalone plug and play character. Now, if you're fine with having a super high plug and play character, then you could also consider Omega Red. So Omega Red and Nova are 2 decent choices. I've heard that Omega Red is fantastic. I've never built him myself, so take everything I say about him with a grain of salt, but from people that do have him built, he still is useful to this day. His ultimate is devastating. His, basic has health steal, I believe, so it always does a crap ton of damage. Nova has the battlefield effect, which is fantastic. I don't even have him unlocked yet, by the way, which is why I didn't put him on my list, but he is a solid choice. He does take bio gear, so this is a pretty solid choice in my opinion if you did want to do the non-horseman legendary side. I still wouldn't take them in my opinion. Even though Nova is a fantastic choice for Dark Dimension, I don't know how much I want to invest in him just as a solo character. For anyone who's beaten Dark Dimension 6 and wants to, advocate for Nova, please let me know. I've never used him, and so please leave it in the comments down below if you think that he's worth taking at this point to the non-horseman legendary side or the legendary. But in my opinion, these are the only 3 right now that are worth the legendary section. Maybe Nick Fury as well. Sorry, that's the only other one. Nick Fury's okay. And even for the horseman section, right? The legendary Apocalypse, you could take the horsemen. However, the horsemen their teams are slowly being power crept. I believe that the new mutant raid team is going to replace, Archangel. So unless you're building Archangel right now, he's not very good in Dark Dimension either, so I wouldn't even build him. Magneto, I would totally ignore him as well. His team's probably out the door. I would say only build him to the Apocalypse level, but not to Dark Dimension 6 level. You might get some use out of them in Dark Dimension 5 or something, but you don't want to take him all the way to 6. We're talking about 6 right now. This is what I'm talking about for Dark Dimension 6, by the way. So, if you're talking about Magneto or Archangel or any of the raid team characters, again, I would only take them to the Apocalypse level and then not to Dark Dimension 6. But yeah, I wouldn't take any of these legendary characters personally. I would just ignore them completely because I don't think I'm going to be getting any use out of them outside of the Dark Dimension, right? Like, I could take Red Hulk. Red Hulk's still a fantastic character. He would be the only horseman that I would consider, in my opinion, because Red Hulk just is that powerful on his own. His gamma attack is his ultimate's always going to be one of the best ultimates in the game, in my opinion, until they release another damaging battle effect or one of top tier like Red Hulk's. But I still wouldn't take him. I don't think he's safe to build all the way up to gear tier 18 right now. I think he's slowly going to get power crept out of the meta. I don't think they're going to be adding more power to him or the Hulk team for a long time. And they have a ton of counters already, right? Like, a bunch of teams just counter the gamma team now, even Cosmic Crucible and in War. So in my opinion, I don't think they're worth building to that top tier. But yeah, I think these are the only characters, in my opinion. Sorry, you can't really see the global section there. These characters, from what I've seen, out of every character in that whole list for Dark Dimension, are the only ones that I would even consider taking all the way up to gear tier 18 Dark Dimension 6 right now. You may as well wait until, if you haven't entered yet, or let's say you're on the legendary section, I would wait and see what's going to happen. I wouldn't invest any further at this point because there's going to be a lot of reworks coming. We already know that there's 2 new symbiotes coming, so we don't know if there's going to be a symbiote rework. I know that there's another X-Men team coming out soon, and we don't know if they're going to do a whole Sinister 6 rework, but with all the X-Men characters, that could be pretty cool, right? We don't know. If you want to get through it quickly, sure, build cheap characters, take them up, get your way through and struggle. But I will always advocate for investing for future, for, getting value out of your investment. This is what I always advocate for in this game, and I try and help people and give advice onto what I believe will be, useful in the future. So let's go through real quick on what my opinions are for each lane of Dark Dimension. Raid characters, very good at the time you get them unlocked. They'll probably last about 6 months to, if you're lucky, 6 to 7 months for a raid team. You could take them to gear 18 if you really want to get through, but I don't really ever recommend building raid teams. I've done it once. I built the Bionic Avengers for the global section one time, and I deeply regretted it because I never used them anywhere anymore, and it was a waste of gear. Don't only take characters that you think will be reworked in the future or will have long-term investment. So again, long-term investment or being reworked in the future, like Kestrel, Vol, and Deathpool, them being Marvel Strike Force original characters, in my opinion, will always have a future in this game, since I believe that they will always want to rework their original characters. Quicksilver right now is so strong as a standalone plug-and-play character and he's a dark promotion character, that I believe that he is worth building and that he will last in the meta for a long time, kind of like how Silver Surfer did. And then the arena characters, of course. Arena teams are being, they will get power crept eventually, but arena teams on their own are still extremely solid teams, even outside of the arena meta, for a long time after they come out. So I believe that they are a bit of a safer option. And Sinister 6 right now, from what I've seen, the only reason why I say that they're worth investing in is because they are just that powerful of a team. Sinister 6, in my opinion, is a team that I believe will be insane for the future. However, I will not be building them to the city section if they do rework the symbiotes, because I know how good the symbiotes were back in the day, and if they do them good, then the symbiotes will, in my opinion, be the best city option if they rework them. That's why I'm saying it. Otherwise, Sinister Six is probably your best choice at the moment, plus Ghost Rider Robbie and Miss Marvel Hardlight. Probably the only section in the game that you can build these 5 characters and get away with it and get some like return on your investment for the future. And then for the legendary section, again, the Sinister Six, probably the 2 best legendaries that you're going to want for your team. And then Black Cat, of course, being an arena character. I don't know how good she is standalone. I've never used her, so please leave in the comment section. Let me know how good she is standalone. I don't want to build her until I have the rest of the Secret Defenders unlocked, but let me know how she is. And then Nova as well. I don't have him personally. Let me know with him as well in the comments if he is worth taking standalone. And then, of course, Apocalypse. Being Apocalypse, one of the best characters in the game. Now his diamonds being released and having 7 red. We don't know how long it's going to be till he gets his diamonds for the public. Probably not a while, but still one of the best characters in the game. But anyways, guys, that's my opinion on Dark Dimension 6 as a whole. What I'm going to be looking at going forward for my teams for Dark Dimension 6, and what I think I'm going to be getting as a long-term investment for the game. If I'm coming back to the game, I want to do it right, and I want to get the characters that I think are going to give me long-term, value, right? I don't want to waste my resources while I'm, it's just a shame to see a bunch of characters get put on the bench in my roster that I'm never going to see again. Like, if you take Magneto, if you take, raid characters, you could take all the raid teams to Dark Dimension, but then what? They're going to get power crept in the meta in like 6 months, and then they're useless on your bench. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like and comment down below. But yeah, anyways, let me know if you think my list sucks down below. If you think my list is great, give it a thumbs up. But anyways, that's going to be it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.